few months, we've been talking about, weight loss drugs. Yesterday as well, Ekta was, briefly alluding to Ozempic on account of the Natco Pharma impact as well. So they've taken the world by storm, and the industry is expected to be about $100 billion industry by the end of this decade itself. But that's the global one. What about India, which is known as the diabetes capital of the world and is among the top 3 obese nations in the world as well? What's the opportunity? Ekta joins in with a quick snapshot. Ekta, everyone wants to lose weight, but how big is the opportunity here?
Well, yes, the size of the Indian anti-obesity market is small, but it's grown at a rapid pace, expanding 37% CAGR just in the past 5 years. Now, the entire market has grown from around 160 crores in August 2020 to over 560 crores as of August 2024. Though weight loss drugs have been around in the Indian market since almost 3 decades ago, with the molecule Orlistat launched all the way back in 1996, majority of the growth has been since 2022 when semaglutide was introduced in the market, with the market growing 46% in August 2022 over August 2021, followed by a 67% growth in 2023 and a 49% growth just in the past 1 year odd. So how has semaglutide led the growth, and how have other drugs in this category performed? Now, sales of semaglutide, which is the blockbuster GLP-1 drug, only the oral version is sold in India, which is branded as Rybelsus and sold by Novo Nordisk. It saw sales worth 56 crores in 2022, grow to over 200 crores by August 2023, and it went up to around 400 crores by August of 2024. Now, other molecules haven't been able to create the same magic as semaglutide. For example, dulaglutide, sold by the likes of Cipla and Lupin, the second largest drug after semaglutide in the Indian weight loss market, which saw maximum sales of 72 crores in the past 5 years and a 1% 5-year CAGR decline in sales. Or liraglutide, which is sold by the likes of Novo Nordisk and Glenmark, saw an 8% decline in sales on a 5-year CAGR basis, with a sharp 45% decline in sales in 2023. While Orlistat, which is sold by at least 20 pharma companies in the Indian market, saw maximum sales of around 64 crores in the past 5 years, which was around a 7% growth on a 5-year CAGR basis. Lastly, a few trends to watch out for. An incremental rise in semaglutide sales as physicians begin prescribing the drug for other conditions such as lowering risk of cardiovascular events, stroke, PCOS, amongst others. Sales are also expected to burgeon once the more popular injectable form is introduced in the Indian market. And the introduction of Eli Lilly's weight loss drugs, which is Tirzepatide or Zepbound, which is giving stiff competition to Novo Nordisk's drugs globally. From an Indian company perspective, watch for the opportunity for the larger Indian companies to sign a licensing or marketing agreement with any of these global majors for the Indian market, and also introduce their own generic version in the Indian market, which is probably likely in just the next 2 years.
All right. Very interesting. I don't know whether it'll never be an OTC drug, will it?
No, never. I think, there's a lot of debate on how people are misusing it in real life as well. So that's a debate which needs to be looked at closely.
Take that point. The usage debate will be spoken about at a much later date. But for now, we'll talk about the business debate. On the other side, we'll have Vishal Manchanda of Systematics Group and Dr. Neeta Deshpande to discuss this rapid growth of weight loss drugs, what it means for patients, more importantly, what it means for investors as well.
Welcome back. Well, let's discuss a little more about the GLP-1 drug opportunity in India as well as in the global markets. We have Vishal Manchanda, who's a pharma analyst at Systematics Group, and Dr. Neeta Deshpande, who's a diabetologist and obesity physician, joining in to discuss the opportunity from GLP-1 drugs. Dr. Neeta as well as Vishal, welcome to the show. Well, Dr. Neeta, let's just start with you because there is a fear that semaglutide and other obesity drugs can also be misused. What has your experience been as of now when it comes to prescribing the drugs, and whether or not there is a fine line between overusing it and the actual utility of it?
Yeah, the utility is high, but there could be a very thin line, as you said very rightly. And there are people clamoring for the drug, and they are trying to get it in every which way that is possible. But however, the caution is that it is a drug that must be taken under supervision, because there are certain contraindications, there are certain warnings, and there are some people who should not take it. So there are several things like this, and that is the reason that it should not be available to all without a doctor's prescription who knows how obesity treatment works and who is well versed with this kind of treatment. So there is definitely a possibility of it being misused, because obesity rates are rising so high and everyone is looking for a quick fix, and they think that semaglutide is the quick fix, and therefore we need to be really very careful about this.
All right. Point well taken, Dr. Deshpande. We must be very careful about it. Take it only under expert prescription and, with guidance from the doctors, etc. as well. But let's, bring Vishal into the discussion as well. Vishal, it's a growing market in India, but it's a very, very big market in the world already. Numbers talk about $100 billion opportunity. So from a business standpoint, which are the companies which are best placed to benefit from this wave, both in India and the ones who supply to the globe outside of India?
Right. So globally, if you look at things, it's about a $30-35 billion market, the GLP-1 drugs. So they address both diabetes and obesity. And they're also approved for other indications like chronic kidney disease, heart failure. So about $30-35 billion market, and that's growing top of 20% every year, and anticipated to be a $100 billion market by 2030. About 50 other drugs are in clinical trials. So we'll see more launches happening on this front. So globally, we'll see a very strong competition happening in this space, number of players coming in. Maybe the prices would also come down because of competition increasing in the space. If you look at the India market, I think as of now, again, we have just the innovators playing in the India market. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are the two players currently in the India market. So this India has a large scope, kind of currently just a 500 crore market, but probably a large part of the patients who take insulin can also take these GLP-1s along with their prescriptions. So if all of the insulin patients kind of also start taking GLP-1 as an add-on treatment, this market can explode to very large levels. While if you look at the players who are contending here are Dr. Reddy's and Natco, which are probably the front runners.
Okay. Give us a sense, Vishal, about Natco and the tie-up that they have with Mylan, and they did settle with Novo Nordisk. Mylan settled with Novo Nordisk. What does this mean in terms of a potential launch for Natco and potential numbers coming in from there?
So what Natco claims is they have a first to file exclusivity here. So they would qualify for 6 months exclusivity when they launch. They've not disclosed the timelines, but the last patent on semaglutide expires around 2030 to 2031. So that is when we expect Natco to launch. So what Natco can do with this drug, I think the opportunity is very large. It all depends on how much Natco can invest to create manufacturing capacities here. So I think the real constraint would be their ability to invest in creating manufacturing capacity for this opportunity. Capex is going to be humongous. I think these are peptide drugs and require large amount of investments.
Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Neeta, I just wanted to take that point forward. Are you all actually prescribing these drugs for diabetes patients who are on insulin, and hence is that a market that one needs to probably consider?
Yes, definitely, because oral semaglutide, as it is marketed in India today and elsewhere in the world, is basically meant for and licensed for use for type 2 diabetes treatment. It also causes weight loss. It's not marketed as a weight loss drug yet. The weight loss drug that is there, that is the higher dose and the injectable form. Semaglutide, the oral form, is the first in class, a peptide in a pill for the first time. So that is in a dose that is meant for diabetes and not really for weight loss. The weight loss is not so high with the oral dose, which is meant for diabetes. We do prescribe it for diabetes, especially in those who are overweight. It does give good results. It is being used by many practitioners off label for people even without diabetes, though it's not licensed for use. And the results are pretty okay. But the actual dose is 2.4 milligrams injectable, which we know as Wegovy, which is licensed for use by the Indian DCGI, but not yet available in India. So once that is available, that really is the obesity dose. But for type 2 diabetes, yes, we are prescribing Rybelsus, which is oral semaglutide, and we are getting weight losses as well.
Okay. So can you just tell us, doctor, I just wanted, it was a two-part question. When you're saying that you're prescribing it, say you have 10 patients with diabetes who are walking into your clinic, how many are you prescribing semaglutide to, which is the oral version? And when the injectable version, which is probably has more efficacy, is introduced in the Indian market, whenever that is, what do you think that will be in terms of, demand? If you could just give us a sense in terms of how many people are you prescribing it to when it comes to diabetes currently, the oral version, and what is the potential of the injectable once it's introduced?
Right. So cost is a factor at this point of time. And that is the reason that we may offer it actually out of 10 patients, we may offer it to even 6 patients, but then not all of them will take it up because of the cost. And that is about the oral semaglutide. So the need is there, the use is there, but the cost can be prohibitive at times because it has to be taken on a long-term basis. You asked me about the injectable semaglutide. Please remember that there is a distinction between Ozempic and Wegovy. Ozempic is the injectable equivalent of oral semaglutide, which is again meant for diabetes. Though it has become famous as a weight loss drug, the actual weight loss dose is Wegovy. It is also semaglutide. So you have Ozempic as the diabetes dose and Wegovy as the obesity dose. Once Wegovy comes in, I am pretty sure it's going to fly off the shelves because it gives much better weight loss than Ozempic as well as oral semaglutide. So the demand is going to be there. It's going to be huge.
All right, Dr. Deshpande, thank you so much for talking us through the dosage and the kind of demand that there could be for a drug like this, the patients that you prescribe this to. Just a final question to Vishal before we wrap up. You said that Dr. Reddy's and NATCO are the front runners. Have you ascribed any sort of optionality in terms of a value to your overall metrics when it comes to semaglutide to any of these players? And what else are you waiting for before one actually looks at this as an inflection point to go ahead and buy that stock? Your top picks.
So I don't think we should go and buy these stocks right now. So as I said, while these are large opportunities themselves, but competition is something we'll need to be conscious about, because these are not drugs like the typical oral solid drugs, which can be manufactured and gained, and you can get approval for. The investments, it's actually much driven by the investment capacities that you have. And I don't think, so if you look at Novo Nordisk, they would have invested about $15 billion in CapEx over the last 3 years. And I believe large part of that CapEx has gone into creating capacities for semaglutide. So you can imagine the kind quantum of CapEx that is required here. So I think, and again, the cost of manufacturing will also be crucial. So how it pans out, we'll have to wait and see here.
All right, take that point. Thank you so much for joining in and giving us your view. We'll take a short break, come back on the other side. We'll focus full tilt on the market, a near 140-point gain on the Nifty. We'll get you what to expect from the F&O pack as well.